G'day everybody, Wade Northhausen here for Billboard Battalion. We're coming to you from the headquarters of National Farmers Federation here in Canberra. And we're just wondering what's happening here because of the things that have happened in Canberra. We were here yesterday, we've been here for the whole week. We've been here yesterday in the Senate, and we were just getting some words of encouragement. We were in the Senate when it actually passed the legislation, which was the Environmental Protection Agency legislation, and what this means to Australian farmers, and what this means to the entire country, in fact. However, this in terms of farming is just catastrophic. Some of the banter between the Minister for the Environment and also the Leader of the Greens in the Senate yesterday was definitely a major attack on our agricultural sector. So this bill that they've put through, this is basically a bill to give the World Economic Forum and the United Nations and the World Health Organization the legal capacity to wind up our farms. It has far-reaching implications over anything at all to do with land or property. Also your homes, your businesses. This thing is horrendous. And the big problem, of course, is that we don't see that our politicians are actually working for us. What we're seeing is they're working, or most of them now are working for foreign, hostile corporate entities who hate Australia and want to use these new pieces of legislation. This in conjunction with the Centre for Disease Control bill that passed within the last month, I think it was the 5th of November. These things now are a dream for anybody who hates our farms. And I'm here to tell you the government hates our farmers. They hate food production and they hate everything that we represent. And this is a bill that now gives them the legislative capacity to wipe out farming under the disguise of, you guessed it, the climate change, the environment. That is specifically what this stuff is about. Giving foreign power total legislative control over our farmers, in combination with the Greens, of course, and the Labor Party. This is a catastrophe. So why we're here today at the head office of National Farmers Federation, for a long time now, years in fact, I've been saying to the National Farmers Federation, we are under attack. They are trying to destroy Australian farmers and wind them up. That is the plan, and it has been for, well, generations in fact. But just over the last 30 or 40 years, it's really ramped up. So I've made quite a lot of representations to NFF, to the President, David Johhinkie, the ex-President, David Johhinkie, the ex-CEO, Tony Marr, and I've spoke to our new man on the beat, which is Hamish McIntyre. I reached out to try and get in touch with Hamish to do an interview on this exact stuff, to find out what is the NFF doing about things that are coming down the line that are absolutely glaringly obvious as to what they are and what the intention is, and to say exactly the same as I said to David Johhinkie on many occasions, this is the plan, this is what they're doing, what is the NFF doing about it? Because in my opinion, what we've seen is that the National Farmers Federation are actually supporting the very legislation and the governments and the international bodies who want to destroy our farmers. So I've had some discussions with them. I spoke to ex-President David Johhinkie at Beef Week in Rockhampton, Queensland, around about 18 months ago or so. And David was good enough to have a small meeting, probably 25 minutes or half an hour or so. And I explained a lot of this stuff to him and didn't want to know about it. And then at the end of the day refuses to talk to you. So this is the situation. we've been here a while ago. We called into NFF head offices here and went upstairs and called in and tried to get meetings with people to say, right, who are the movers and shakers here? Can we talk to the president? This is who we need to be talking to. And what is happening? Do you understand these are the situations? What can we do about it? What are we going to do about it? We need to fight this to protect farming, because there's bodies that are definitely, absolutely, their intention is to destroy our farmers, and pretty well all of them. So, you know, a lot of people would say, if we destroy our farmers, where do we get our food from? That is an excellent question. And that speaks to the very heart of what we're talking about here. The plan is from the international terrorist organisations who now have the legislative power to wipe us out. The intention is you don't get food. This is an agenda that these international psychopaths have, that's all about depopulation, population reduction, getting rid of people. They claim that the planet has a population of 8 billion people on it. Well, that's 7.5 billion people too many, and they have to get rid of them. So one of the great ways to get rid of people, of course, is to starve them to death. Now, we see the United Nations is absolutely predicting global famines coming, global famines. And the UN knows this because they're the ones who are making that happen. And the legislation we saw yesterday is specifically designed to create and cause these global famines. This is exactly what it's about. So we've come here today to the headquarters of the National Farmers Federation after much frustration and many attempts to try and get to talk to the new president here, Hamish. And so we thought, well, we'd come here today since we've been in Canberra, we've been in Parliament for the sittings of both houses, which we're doing regularly now. And it's incredible what we're learning from being in there and the contacts we're making and the people who we're getting to talk to. So we are trying to put the pressure on and say, well, the agricultural sector pays a lot of money to our so-called industry representatives. And the National Farmers Federation claim to be representing the Australian farmers. So they get a lot of money. They have a lot of membership that puts money into them. A lot of the state bodies have to be financial members and pay them a lot of dough. So what are we getting? What are farmers getting for those enormous financial contributions? Well, as far as I'm concerned, and these are my opinions, not very much. What we're seeing is that this legislation is passing through the lower house and then through the upper house, and it is now, it was voted on yesterday, the 27th of November 2025, and it was passed by the Labor Party with the support of the Greens. So we've got a few signs here that we thought we'd bring to National Farmers Federation, and I thought this is, yeah, it looks pretty, well, it looks pretty Where's Wally kind of thing, but this is the deal. Where is Hamish McIntyre, the NFF president? We can't seem to find him. He won't call back. We can't seem to get any communications from the National Farmers Federation. I've rung them, left messages, get no answers. So it doesn't seem like anybody there wants to talk to us. After Hamish McIntyre speaking to me on the phone there a little while ago, a few weeks ago, and saying, yeah, no worries, you know, we can do an interview, that's all right. And then sort of scaled it down to, well, if he can't, you know, somebody in NFF can talk to us, who knows what they're doing, and that's great. We were very grateful to actually be able to do that. Seeing that Howard, he's only new to the job, a great opportunity to see what his intentions are and inform him of the things that actually matter. And those things that matter have just been passed in the Parliament. And I can tell you right now, I think, from what I've seen, I believe that Hamish McIntyre was actually at Parliament House yesterday. I've seen some stuff from Helen Haines about Hamish. Now, I'm assuming that he was there yesterday or possibly in the last couple of days, And he's talking about important things like emergency contacts and emergency network coverages for farmers in emergency situations. That is very serious, of course. But this stuff is going to wipe farmers out. It's going to give one man or woman, the Minister for the Environment, literally the power single-handedly to wipe out our farmers, shut them down under any number of environmental crap things that they come up with. It doesn't matter how rich you are. You can be somebody who's got a $50 million property. But I'm here to tell you that some of the fines that they're talking about for breaches of the environment, or whatever the hell that even means, because no one knows at this point, of $825 million for companies. And they also talk about being able to take a project that has environmental approval and then combine it with a whole heap of other things and say, hang on, the collective of that is no good, so we're going to shut it all down. That is tailor-made for agriculture. It's also tailor-made for people's homes and developments and God knows what. But anyway, this is a disaster. And the minister's also built into it some points where he can make a decision and say, well, anything that they consider that's in the national interest is they can just wave that through and give it approval, like all the renewable energy infrastructure that's going up all over farmlands, and we're seeing massive protests by farmers all over Australia against all this renewable energy coming onto their properties. Well, this now gives them the right. The minister can just flick a button, sign a little bit of paper and say, well, they've got no right to stop this because it's in the national interest. So people need to understand what we've just seen happen. This is the biggest attack on agriculture in Australia's history, and this has the capacity to completely destroy the agricultural sector in Australia. So we've got a couple of other signs here. It says the National Farmers Federation selling out our farmers. And I believe that is exactly what we're seeing. Supporting Labor and the Greens to destroy Australian farmers. Now, you might say, well, you know, how can they do that? The National Farmers Federation are fighting. Well, I haven't seen them fight any of this stuff. I have not seen them say one word. Nothing at all. In fact, our new fearless president, Hamish, has come out. NFF supports net zero. So that's all the environmental crap, all the lies, all the devastating things that they're going to do to our farmers and to our entire country. So I think that the National Farmers Federation needs a very, very serious attitude adjustment. And it's starting to I'm thinking maybe this is the reason they don't want to actually be doing an interview with me, because I'm not the ABC, I'm not all any of these other scumbag things, I'm not any of these other rags like the Weekly Times and Queensland Country Life and The Land and all the rest of this hopeless sellouts who are pushing this line for the government and for the World Economic Forum. So maybe there's a reason they don't want to talk to me. It's becoming a bit obvious because Billboard Battalion doesn't pull any punches. I've been at them for years that this is going to happen, and now it has. And still crickets, mate. So we need people to make inquiries to the National Farmers Federation. We need people to ring up or send emails or text or what have you and say, hang on, why is it that you refuse to speak to Wade Northhausen from Billboard Battalion? What is wrong? What is the problem? So just when all this stuff is unfolding, just within the last week or so, I believe that Hamish was in fact up in Queensland with the high rollers, if you like, or all the hobnobs of the whole show, the minister up there in Queensland and God knows who else, all the people that think they're rich and famous, whilst they're constructing the very legislation to completely destroy the agricultural sector. This is what I'm talking about. So I think that the farmers of Australia, who the NFF claim to represent, I think they have a right to understand and to know what has the NFF been actually doing. What sort of, have they been involved in dirty deals behind closed doors? Are the people, the hierarchy and everything like this, been getting special favours perhaps? Maybe some kind of payoffs, maybe some sort of corruption. These are questions. These are questions that I would ask if we had an opportunity to interview Hamish. But I'm pretty sure he's not going to want to. Well, we need to make it a situation where this becomes an industry issue, where the NFF need to tell us what they've been doing. We are seeing things being set up to be obliterated. What the hell have they been doing? It doesn't matter how rich of farmers that we've got in this country, there's some pretty rich ones. When it comes down to fighting against the World Economic Forum and their new legislation, they will squash any farmer in Australia like a bug. And I know there's plenty of them that think that they're really great and they're really rich and powerful. Well, they're about to go down. Most of them anyway, I'll tell you right now. So we also have the other sign here that I've brought over. And it says, Labor and the Greens coming for farms. It says here, the National Environmental Protection Agency. Now this is what they've created. This is our problem. This thing is over and above anything else, any other environmental anything. This new thing is a one-stop shop for destroying absolutely everything. That is so serious. And here we've got the World Economic Forum, the United Nations and the World Health Organization, right? This bill that the Greens and the Labor put through yesterday give those people here the power to destroy Australia, quite literally. And the question might be, well, why would they want to do that? Because those three organisations I just listed have been openly advocating for decades and decades and decades against farmers, claiming that agriculture represents 30% of the terrible carbon, the greenhouse carbon. You know, we've got to get rid of farmers because they're creating climate change. And now recently they've kicked on to the whole, oh, we've got to get rid of methane. Methane's so terrible, it's worse than carbon. Methane's worse than carbon for the environment. So they're in the business of murdering cattle all over the world. And in Australia here, they're looking like putting in Bovaer, making cattle producers now and dairy farmers start to use Bovaer, where we've seen in Europe, I've actually interviewed people from Europe who have said they give their dairy cattle Bovaer and a huge number of them get very sick and some of them die. So this is a very, very serious situation. And under the environment, this new National Environmental Protection Agency, the minister can force every farmer in Australia to give this Bovaer to every head of cattle. And then they get sick and die. So where the hell have the National Farmers Federation been? What are they doing with all the huge amounts of money that they get? I know that COP29, we've just had COP30, COP29, if memory serves me correctly, David Joe Hinckley, the ex-president, and also Tony Marr, the ex-CEO, were in fact in COP29 overseas, rubbing shoulders of all the knobs. And they were saying, oh, well, you've got to be across there, you know, doing deals for ag. Mate, ag is stuffed. Now, I've said it before, but I just want to say this about Tony Marr. I've had quite a number of, well, not quite a number, about their supporting the irrigation destruction of what we've got going on with our farmers, particularly with the Murray-Darling Basin Plan, also the Northern Victoria Irrigation Renewable Project, the North-South Pipeline, all this stuff. And Tony Marr said to me, "Oh well, look," he said, "we'll talk to you." He said, "But if you're going to talk about water policy, well, we have nothing to do with you." So the Murray-Darling Basin Plan destroyed enormous amounts of farmers. So we come along to the renewable energy fraud. This crap, it's a total fraud, and it's invading farmland all over the place. And would you believe, Tony Marr, the ex-CEO of our National Farmers Federation here, only finished up here just months ago, his new job, can you believe it, is the Commissioner in charge of renewable infrastructure. What did you just say? Yes, the immediate past CEO is now the new Commissioner in charge of renewable infrastructure. Now think about that for a bit. The rest of the farmers in the country, or most of them anyway, are having their absolutely fighting back against all this invasion of their land with this. Some farmers are saying they want it, but others, like what's happening now in Western Victoria, are absolutely at war with the government. So how did that happen? How did Tony Marr get the job? What's happening there? Is there some sort of corruption? Did he get some sort of little sweetheart deal for selling out the farmers over the years, and this is his payoff, this is his payment? So, of course, I'm not saying that Tony Marr did any sort of criminal activities or sold himself to the government or something like that. And everything might be legitimate, and good luck to him if it is. But it seems pretty sketchy to me. So I'd like an opportunity to interview Tony Marr. And I'm pretty sure there's a whole heap of farmers also would like to see that interview of Tony Marr and say, how come that the renewable energy sector is destroying huge amounts of farmland? In Victoria, farmers can be fined $12,000 for trying to stop them coming on their land. The government's changed rules to give these power companies access to farms when you can't do anything about it. So where was the NFF there? Where was the National Farmers Federation and all the other farmer groups? Where are they? Where were they? So we have incredible concerns over the possible connection to the National Farmers Federation and the Labor Party and the Greens getting this bill across the line, which hands enormous power to unelected international bodies who are hostile to Australia and are openly hostile towards farmers. So I just wanted to do this live here today, since we're in Canberra, and indicate again, we're trying to get to speak with the National Farmers Federation President, Hamish McIntyre. Hamish seems to have gone AWOL. The whole thing, missing in action. Well, could I just say missing in no action? Missing in not wanting to talk to Billboard Battalion, because we're not your mainstream scumbag media who actually work for the people who hate our country. So we might just wrap it up with that. We'll do a bit more today or tomorrow morning from Parliament House about the bill and a lot more about it and how that's been set up to destroy our country, because that literally is what it is and what it has been set up to do. And so we'll bring you a lot more coverage on this. And I'll also, when we get home, I'll round up my old sign that I had from the days when we were fighting against the Murray-Darling Basin Plan. And the Greens and the Labor Party I had depicted as the Green Reaper. The Green Reaper was destroying Australian farmers and businesses and manufacturing, the whole lot. Everything. The Green Reaper was represented by the Labor Party and the Greens. So, all right, people. Thanks very much for all that. Hopefully, if we get any upgrades from Hamish, we're going to keep on pushing him. I want everybody to contact the National Farmers Federation and just respectfully say, well, I speak to Farmer Wade, because he's the only one who's bringing the truth. And there are some very serious questions that the National Farmers Federation need to be answering, because this bill here is going to be used to destroy most of your farms, most of your businesses, and most of your lives. Righto, people, thanks very much for that. Wade Northhausen here for Billboard Battalion. It's Friday the 28th of November 2025, and as we keep saying, the greatest threat to our farmers are our governments. So support Billboard Battalion. Thanks very much.